Welcome to Ninerology, Faithful in the Trenches. It is Friday, which means it is our latest episode of 13 going on Purdy as we break down Brock Purdy during the offseason and talk about an offseason already. His first full offseason as the starting quarterback, one where he's not trying to make the team, second one where he's not recovering from a UCL injury. This is his first full offseason as the unquestioned starter, but also being able to go through OTAs, watch and digest the film, but also be able to work on his craft. That was one of the toughest things last year. We hear it from Kyle Shanahan, where he mentions previous years, this is what was happening. There was the recovery, and he had to mentally process, but couldn't actually work on it. In fact, check out this quote from Kyle Shanahan.
He's definitely ahead of where he was last year this time, but it was just real cool being able to go through a whole year of cut-ups just like we did last year, and just starting in phase one, the command he had of going out there with the drills and everything and really trying to apply the stuff we had just been watching in the meeting rooms that really happened all off our 2023 tape. Last year he had to do it, and then it would just be frustrating for him because he couldn't really go work on it. He had to just visualize it and think about it and had to wait for that opportunity in training camp. This year, right away, it's been awesome for him to lead us through the whole offseason, just drill-wise and everything. He's been great to have for a first full offseason.
So you see right there, he's already improving. He's ahead of last year, which is crazy to think considering how well Brock Purdy has done in his stint here. I believe 27 games, including playoffs, that he has started. And so we're starting to see kind of going into year three, a full offseason, being able to work on things, just kind of how he's really owning that position that he's in. Now, as we talked about earlier in the offseason, the two areas Brock Purdy wanted to work on was arm strength, but also mobility. We know that mobility kind of comes naturally to him, but he didn't really use that during the first two seasons. We saw glimpses of it against Green Bay and Detroit. Check out these clips here.
Well, the one advantage you do have if you're Kyle Shanahan is it's 4-down territory. So you have 4 downs. It's not a goal and go situation. So right now, 2nd and 10 is no different than 1st and 10. He's got his entire playbook at his disposal.
Purdy in some trouble. Got room to run if he wants it. He's going to take it. Purdy inside the 10 and diving near the 6. They're going to put him down at the 5 and right near a first down. 3rd down. 4-man rush. Purdy in some trouble. Escapes. Looking for the first down. He's got it and more. Brock Purdy with the legs inside the 30.
Now, I think that is the difference maker for Brock Purdy. One of the areas he can work on. Not necessarily thinking that he's going to throw for 5,000 yards. If that happens, great. But the two areas, we talked about arm strength, which that's going to happen naturally, especially as he's working through the offseason. Because if you think of last year, in terms of arm strength, he was really recovering, so he was only going to get close to where he was prior. But now with an entire offseason working with special trainers, specifically on his mobility and his arm and how that shoulder can kind of open up, we're going to start seeing more of that arm strength this year. But as far as mobility, it's gaining the confidence in what he can actually do. Again, we saw that against Detroit. We saw it against Green Bay. We didn't see it as much against the Chiefs as we would have liked to. But I think as he goes through the offseason, as he studies tape, he's going to see this is an aspect of his game that needs to show up more in games. When things break down, when things aren't going as planned, a lot of what Brock does is timing routes. He knows what guys to hit and when to hit them, how to dissect the defense. But what happens when those two things don't happen naturally? When you have a game like the Vikings or a game like the Browns where things just are not going well. You're playing a very good defense, and you need to improvise. That's when Brock Purdy needs to have the confidence that he can do things with his legs, and I think he's going to get that. Again, the more and more he does this, he understands, look, this is a strength that I have that I can use, that I can capitalize on, and it's only going to do better for my team. It's going to free things up for the offensive line. It's going to free things up for the wide receivers. It's going to free things up for the running game, because now the defense has to take that into account. That might mean putting a spy there, which means that spy can no longer react to a rush to the left or the right, which gives McCaffrey even more room to get to the edge. That might mean that spy has to wait a beat or two before going to the out routes to cover those things, to cover Debo going across the middle. So I think if Brock Purdy can harness this level of his game, that we're going to see it pay dividends over and over and over again. And so look out for that. look for that as a big area for Purdy to grow in. He's already talked about how now during the offseason that he's been able to dissect the information more. It's his third year in this offense. And again, year one, he's just trying to make the team. He's trying to digest all this information like a sponge while not getting as many reps. Last year, he's just digesting it mentally. Even though he was the unquestioned starter, just digesting it mentally. Now he's taking on that leadership role. He's being more vocal. Now he's got the entire offseason where he can throw and also work with the other backup quarterbacks, but also work with the rookie wide receivers. And so I think all of this is just working out well for Brock Purdy. Yes, there's still the hump he's got to get over as far as that kind of Super Bowl hangover, but I think Brock Purdy has the makeup and the leadership ability to help his team get over that thing. Understand, like, look, yes, we didn't do what we wanted to do. We have another 20 games to go to get where we want to, but we can only do that one game at a time. We can't win the Super Bowl in the preseason. We can't win the Super Bowl week 1 of the season. We got to go ahead and mount wins, win after win after win, win each quarter of the season, and watch what that does. And I think Brock Purdy is the perfect leader to lead the 49ers in this area. Well, that's all we have for today's episode of 13 Going on Purdy. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.